Do you wonder why your partner left, or why he's pulling away, or why you go on dates with men and after the first or second date they pull away? So, this is a topic I've been exploring for years. Before I met my husband, I could consider myself a queen of heartbreak. So, this has been quite a journey of understanding and exploration. And if you're interested in this topic, then please stay on. Please like and subscribe to get more content like this. I'm Sarika Jane, love and relationship coach. So, the question of why men pull away is like the eternal question, right? It's the $1 million question that we are all seeking, right? And even if you're in a secure marriage, which thankfully I am in, there's always that nugget. There's always that, ooh, what if he pulls away? What if he leaves? It's such a core fear for us women. And when we're dating, it can feel really disheartening to face rejection. It can feel like your life is just being tossed and turned around. So, anyways, I remember after a breakup, I went and downloaded some ebooks on why he left and how to get your ex back, how to text him back to get him back. And this was what I was doing after a massive breakup, because in almost every situation, I still wanted to stay in the relationship, and my ego was really badly hurt being broken up with. And I never really had the courage to break up with anyone. I don't know if it was courage or it was attachment. I liked the idea of being in relationships. I would go from one monogamous relationship to another, and I dated really amazing men. Actually, not I wouldn't consider the men I dated to be narcissists. Maybe in one or two cases, like as time went on, the quality of men became worse and worse. I will say that because I think my own energy was changing, where I was becoming more and more guarded, more protective of my heart, uh, more jaded and desperate. And the more I had those energies, the more I would attract men who were narcissistic. So, going back to, this question, why he left, it would just keep me awake for nights and nights. And I would drink. I would, engage in other addictive behaviors because the pain was so great about losing my beloved, my partner, and being rejected, right? It was this feeling of being abandoned over and over. And I always had hope. Like, I would always read books on dating. I was like, I'm going to master this, I'm going to crack this code. And that's how I became a dating coach, because I was so passionate about love and finding my partner. At that time, finding my husband, right, in my 20s. And I just finished my MBA at the Wharton School. I was working in a consulting role at a top company. And yet, a part of me felt alone and longing for relationship, and in my culture, in Indian culture, getting married, getting settled down is considered like the most important thing to do. So, there's always this conflict between career and finding your marital partner, and both of them just kind of working out, you know. And of course, it's understood that you have to work hard to land your dream career, to make, to grow in your status in this world. However, for love, it's almost just assumed that you will just find the right partner. You're a good person. You go onto Shadi.com, your parents match you with somebody, or you date and you meet someone online, or you meet someone in college. The best case scenario, right? You meet someone in college, your life is set. I remember I had a friend, one of my close friends, who met her guy at some Indian convention right after college and they got married. And I was so jealous. I mean, every friend's wedding I went to, I was jealous. Even though I was trying to be happy for the person, I was jealous inside. And that anger, that resentment of being single ate at me, ate at my soul. And the rejections didn't help. Okay. So I finally got the answer of why he left. Okay. Um, and this is what I share in my books and my coaching because at the end of the day, if you can crack this code, then you know how to make a relationship last and you know how to turn that first date into a second date, into a fifth date, 10th date, into a honeymoon with your partner. So I have this hope. I have this hope that we do know to a certain level why men leave and how to attract the right partner and sustain that connection. So I think the answer finally came to me when I was healing from, well, let's just backtrack. I was engaged to someone that I had met and we dated for a year and it was a whirlwind romance. Like he was perfect on paper, doctor, Indian, good looking, kind. You know, we traveled the world together. Our families were excited for us. And I was a dating coach at that time as well. So I had my corporate gig, but then I would offer dating coaching on the side. So I felt like I had cracked this nut. And I read every book under the sun on dating and love, like why men marry bitches, the rules, think like a man, act like a woman. I don't know. I used to read, that was what I did in my free time was read books on dating and love. you know, someone asked me recently why I became a love coach or how one becomes a love coach. And honestly, I think it's just a deep like interest and even obsession about this topic, right? And this desire to not only help ourselves, but also help other people in their journey, right? And you learn the tools to help people transform their beliefs and see their blind spots and learn the skills to keep that lasting love or to create lasting love. So, anyways, I was engaged to this man, and actually, the minute we got engaged was when all the drama started. We started arguing about wedding locations, how much we wanted to spend, who we would invite. Oh, my stand is falling. And and I just was really heartbroken that we weren't on the same page about so many things and we couldn't talk about these things. Like we would hang out on a Saturday morning and he'd be watching football and reading the New York Times. And I'm like, hey, we got to talk about our upcoming marriage. And I don't know, there just never seemed to be the right moment to talk about things, you know? And his family got really involved. And I was like, you know, we need to be a team, you and I. But we really had no tools to help us through that conflict. So we started couples therapy. I think we went for one or two sessions and it turned to kind of like a he said, she said kind of thing. And nothing really turned out of it. And finally, I'm sorry, I'm going to fix this stand. It's just falling. And, you know, he invited me out for dinner and then he told me that he could no longer be with me. And I was so, so, so heartbroken. I was like, oh my gosh, I'll do anything to make this work. I looked beautiful. I was dressed to the nines. I was I felt like I was anyone's dream woman. Why would someone want to end a relationship with me, even though I'm being so reasonable in my requests? Like I'm even bending backwards to help fulfill whatever needs were needed for by his family for the wedding. And yet my own views, my own needs weren't being taken care of. And yet I was willing to do all of this to make this marriage work. And, he just was like, listen, I can't be with you. And he looked different. He looked withdrawn, shrouded, hunched a little bit. And I begged him, why? What, can I do something? Can I do something differently? Please. In my heart, I'm like, please don't leave me. And he told me these 5 things. And these 5 things transformed my life. Okay. They hit me like a wall of bricks. So he told me that number one, he didn't feel safe with me. Number two, he didn't trust me. Number three, he felt that I had changed as a person. Like he fell in love with someone version of me and I wasn't that person anymore. Number four, that I keep my loved ones at a distance from me. And number five, that I'm controlling, you know, and that he didn't trust me. Did I say that already? Yeah, trust me, feel safe with me. At the end of the day, you know, everything he said, I was mortified. I was like, wow, this person who wants to marry me or I want to marry him feels this about me, that he can't feel safe with me, he can't trust me, that I keep him at a distance, that I'm controlling, and I've changed. Like, even though I thought I was the same person, I didn't realize I'd molded myself into becoming like this version of woman that I thought he wanted. And he just left. And I was just devastated because my whole image was my whole sense of self came from finding this partner and achieving, everything, career, partnership, all of it, at some point, family. And that just blew up in my face. And not only that, my workplace was getting more and more toxic. There were people who were mad at me. And I was just in this like maelstrom of just toxicity. And I didn't think it was my fault. Like, I was just like, why is all this happening to me? You know? And so that night I went home and I cried in my sheets. I still have that duvet, by the way, although now I think we're tossing it, but it was a white duvet and it was covered with mascara and tear stains. And I was just crying and crying. And I heard a voice from my heart that said, I need spiritual healing. And I didn't know what that meant. So the very next day, I met a healer. She was kind of like a psychic healer. And she told me that I was blocked, that my heart and sacral chakras were blocked, and that if I didn't learn what I needed to from this relationship, that I would keep attracting the same pattern over and over. And I was done. I was done with the patterns. Like, she said, it's going to feel like Groundhog's Day. And frankly, you're not even going to want to open up to dating anymore because your heart's about to close. And it's true. Like, I felt like this is it. Like, I'm done. I'm done with this gig. And I didn't really feel any purpose for living anymore either. There were so many times when I would look at the East River and I'm like, oh, I just want to jump in. So, I took a plunge. I started to work with her and she said, we're going to try to get your ex back. So that's what hooked me in, was trying to get my ex back and seeing if I could work on these things for myself so that I could heal and become the partner that my partner wanted. I still believe that he was the one. And it was in that process that I began to rewire myself for love. And I began to infuse myself with nourishment around self love and healthy love. Like I read books by Thich Nhat Hanh, who's a Buddhist monk, and other, kind of spiritual texts around love. And I found so much more wisdom in it. And even my healer, she would just bring this like salt of the earth wisdom to me about how love works. And I'd never heard this wisdom from anyone. And she was like a mother to me. And every step of the way, she actually lived across the street from me. So there were so many nights when I was just crying, and I would be sitting in her office, and she would be like, "I know how you're feeling. You're feeling this. You're feeling that. And I get you. And it's okay. We're going to get through this together, you know?" And so I am so grateful that I had a container to support me in this, like completely surrendering to all of my emotions and grief and making sense of this heartbreak and coming out on the other side and opening up to love again. And so I started dating again after. So what happened was I, finally understood what I needed to and learned a lot. And I was like, wow, like if I want to be the right partner for my ex, then I need to show up in this way. And so I started communicating again with him in this loving way. And I was focused on creating connection, emotional connection, which I was still learning about. I didn't know how to create emotional connection with someone, but I was learning and how to feel trustworthy, which I realized you have to trust yourself. You have to learn how to love yourself, trust yourself, feel safe within yourself, almost create that secure attachment within yourself and, learn how to love other people. It's a skill. And opening my heart to allow love to flow into my life. I was always controlling it. I was always almost deflecting love, like someone would compliment me and I would be like, "Oh, no, 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 it's no big deal," "Oh, this old thing, I just bought it at the vintage store." And, just not really being able to absorb the love that wanted to flow to me and instead picking and choosing the kind of love that I wanted in my life that I felt safe with. And so, and then the other thing was that I was a people pleaser. I would do whatever it took to be successful in my career or to be the kind of woman that a man wanted. And it was easy for me to be a people pleaser, but I could see that my soul was eroding away over time to the point of just almost feeling like I was a shell, an empty shell. And that's how I felt when my ex was breaking up with me. I had nothing. I was just my ego, really, you know. I wasn't embodied. In fact, my body was signaling to me, this isn't right. This isn't right. This isn't right. Like I even was on a plane with him and I fainted and I hit a wall and I bruised myself. I had this giant uh, bloody injury on my face for months and it still hasn't healed. See? And it's a mark of me not following my intuition, my body, because I was so in my head, I wasn't in my body. So, you know, long story short, this is why he left. He left because we hadn't built a foundation, and I hadn't built a foundation within me in order to create a healthy love with someone else. And I didn't have the right tools to create emotional connection. I didn't know how to create chemistry with men. I used sex as a tool, a manipulation tool. I didn't realize it then. But now I'm like, I was using different tools and strategies to get love, but the tools needed to actually build a healthy, loving relationship, I was sorely lacking in. So, you know, fast forward 90 days later, I met a wonderful man in my meditation group, and he looked at me and he sent me signals. He was sending me vibes saying, "You are my queen. You are my queen." And at that time I felt almost like a nobody because I'd stripped away all my desires, my ego and all of that, and I was just being. I was just being present. And I was serving. I was actually leading meditation groups, serving in them. So I really was just like, I'm just going to be present and allow for magic to happen. And I went on dates. I went back online, started dating. And this time I was dating it from a more conscious, joyful place and noticing the triggers within me and, also trying to be present for the partner and awakening my feminine side. So that's what this journey has also helped me to do is like wake up to my sensual, magnetic, intuitive, feminine side that just knows how to navigate life, that has the wisdom within me, uh, and not needing some external authority to tell me what to do and what not to do. And that's what I hope to awaken within you is you have that wisdom within you, the relationship tools within you. You have the know-how, the emotional leadership. Women are born as emotional leaders. And that's what I had to embrace for myself. And when I embraced that side of myself, that's when the connections started occurring, like true deep friendships and healing the relationships with my parents and my siblings and attracting this man who just wanted to be with me, you know? And I had a detachment from all of it. Like I had like this, it's all going to work out anyways, just this faith, this love for life and just allowing whatever magic wanted to occur. And also promising to myself that I would never abandon myself and my own needs. And also I would do my best to be a good friend to my partner, my future partner, or to any guy that I was going on dates with. I would treat him with respect and understand that love and trust builds over time, you know? So I wasn't rushing to get into commitment with anybody. I was like, let's just go at this slowly. And one thing I tell women is date a lot of men, date different men, and don't commit to anyone early because it takes time to build emotional connection and for your lives to begin to sync up. It takes time. We're all busy. We're all navigating through our own chaos and work stuff and family stuff and goals and dreams and desires, and our lives aren't set up to be in a partnership. And so it takes time for two people to rewire themselves and, to mirror each other what they want to create together and creating that emotional connection, that chemistry, the healthy masculine and the divine feminine awakening within each and creating that magnetic attraction between the two. That takes a little bit of time and it's a mysterious process and it can't be forced, it can't be controlled. And, there's a lot of emotional connection, trust, safety, communication, exploration, discovery, uh, reclaiming lost parts, letting go of the past, opening up into new possibilities, letting go of our egoic ideas of what love should look like, right? And I don't know. Anyways, long story short, men leave because they don't feel that sense of freedom around you. They don't feel that chemistry with you. They don't feel that connection, that emotional connection. And so the minute they feel like they're not going to get these needs met, then they're going to withdraw. And also, 99% of men aren't right for you, right? It just takes that one person who is right for you. So if a man leaves, think of it as a blessing. Rejection is God's protection. So in all of these cases where men left, it was great. It was perfect. Like I can look back and be like, wow, thank goodness those relationships didn't work, because now I have a great relationship with a man who wants to navigate, emotional connection with me. So who has the consciousness, the self-awareness, the desire to do all of these things with me, to open up to life's, challenges and possibilities with me together, evolve together. And I can't necessarily say that those other partners before this were the right ones for me for doing that, maybe, but I have to trust in this process of life. And anyway, so I just want you to know that if you're single and men have left you, it doesn't matter. You can start with a clean slate. You can, you know, begin to draw in the right kinds of men, and hopefully Mr. Right, who wants to create this connection with you, this chemistry filled, juicy connection with you, this life affirming connection with you. So I hope that this video was helpful for you, activating for you. And if you liked it, please like, subscribe, and share. I'm trying to grow my channel. I'm just trying to show up for myself and for what I love, which is healthy love, and share hard-earned wisdom with you through my own coaching practice or my own life, and be authentic and vulnerable. So I look forward to staying connected with you. Thanks.